Hello, welcome back to Budget Freedom. My name is Jessica, and I'm going to do another video here on our Setting Up Your Budget series. So on Instagram, if you've been following me, I am doing a 30-day budget setup, showing you how I would set up a budget from scratch. There are a few days in there that if you are not very advanced with your budget, you can go ahead and skip, but the first 10 steps are for any person, any beginner. So you can go ahead on Instagram or Facebook and you can go check that out. The first, you'll see there, it says budget setup, day one, and it goes, and the first 10 steps are for anybody that's just starting on a budget. And then the following steps are when you're ready to get a little bit more advanced into your budgeting as far as paying off debt, credit cards, snowballing, sinking funds, and things like that. So I wanted to do videos breaking down these steps into a few little pieces. I'm not doing one step a video, I'm doing a few because some of them don't need a whole video. So in the last video, we did 3 steps. We did setting up your budget, identifying your bills, identifying your variable expenses, and we identified our income and how to set that up. So those are the first 3 steps. We're going to go on to step number 4 and 5 today. Number 4 is choosing your budgeting method, and number 5 is basically mindset and focusing for your budget. So step number 4, choosing your budgeting method. There are a lot of budgeting methods out there, so try not to overwhelm you. And when I'm talking about choosing your budgeting method, it's a bit complex because you're not only going to choose, all right, am I going to do a zero-based budget? Am I going to do cash envelopes? It's also deciding, are you going to use debit cards and bank transfers as your banking method, or are you going to use only cash? This is what I think is a very pertinent question to ask these days, especially in light of the current situation where people are not wanting to use money a whole lot. If you don't want to have cash on you all the time and go draw it all the time and be touching it, which I'm a little bit adverse to, especially now, then it's perfectly fine to use a debit card. The only thing when you use the debit card system, so the debit card system is basically you have your checking account, you leave only the funds in that checking account that you would normally put in your cash envelopes. So it's for your variable expenses. All right, so when you start your budget, you have all your bills, and all your bills get debited off your account and get paid and get out of the way. Then you have the money that's left over. You have your disposable income, obviously any savings, debt payments, whatever else you want to put sinking funds, and then you have your variable expenses, which are food, gas, clothing, miscellaneous items, personal care, and all of that kind of stuff throughout the month. That's the spending that you would do throughout the month. So on the cash envelope system, you would draw that money in total. Let's say it's $2,000. You would draw that $2,000 out of the bank, and then you would put it in every single envelope based on a category. So let's say 600 in food, 200 in miscellaneous, 100 in fun, 100 in personal care, and so on. Okay, so you would take that 2,000, you would split it in the envelopes depending on how much you've budgeted for each category. And then as you go throughout the month, you would open up your specific envelopes, and you would pay from those envelopes every time you went to the shop. So when you went to buy groceries, you would use your food envelope. When you went to put in gas, you would use your gas envelope or your travel envelope, and so on. That method is really good for people who are not very, either don't have the time or not really inclined to tracking their spending, making sure that they don't overspend in a specific category so that they can last the whole month. It's really good because when you look in that envelope in your hand and you see that that's how much cash you have in the envelope, you can't spend more than that. It just keeps it very visual and keeps it very real for people, and it helps a lot of people. It helped me. I still do it, and in the beginning especially, I did a lot. It just really helps you to make your budget real, get in touch with, that's how much I have to spend on food and I can't go over that, and as you spend, it gets less and less, and then you start to, get more and more aware of the money. It's very different than when you're just going to the shop with a credit card and you're just swiping, you don't even know what the balance is. So the cash method is really good. If you are somebody who is not going to keep on top of your checking account, who's not going to reconcile it and basically sitting down after you go shopping and saying, okay, I spent this much for food and I spent that much for that. This is how much I have left in the food. This is how much I have left in clothing, and really keeping track of the amount in your bank account. I would really recommend going with the cash envelope system because it's nothing to be ashamed of. You should recognize your weaknesses and make them more powerful. And when I say that is when you recognize your weaknesses and you accept that and you work on it, you're actually giving yourself more power because you're not allowing that weakness to have control over you. You're saying, okay, weakness, I see you over there and I am not going to let you run the show anymore. You've done it long enough and I don't like it. So now I'm going to do something that's going to stop you from taking control. So if you're that kind of a person, use the cash envelope system. Okay. I have a lot of videos on it, also on Instagram, on my website. There's so much information on it. And like I just explained to you, it's drawing all the cash out of your bank account for the month, putting it in envelopes, divided by category, depending on your budget. If you're, more tech savvy, actually that's a wrong way to put it because people that could be tech savvy could still be bad with it. My husband is. But if you're just more into Excel spreadsheets, let's say, or, and keeping track of things a lot more carefully, and you prefer to use a debit card, okay, again, in your checking account that you're going to keep your variable expenses money in, you want to make sure that any of your savings, sinking funds, any money that should not be touched should be moved to a separate savings account. You want to make sure that that is always out of the checking account. So the checking account that's linked to the debit card that you want to use, that should only have the money in it that you budgeted for variable expenses. Okay. And you can have a small buffer, $100 or $200 if that's what you choose. It's not a problem. But you got to know that that money in that checking account is all that you have until your next payday, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, whatever it is, that's the money that you have to spend and there's nothing else. So you want to make sure, yes, all the bills get paid. You transfer out any savings that you're saving for, any debt payments, any sinking funds, you transfer that to a separate savings account. So you're left in your bank account with, let's use the $2,000 example. So instead of drawing sorry guys, breathing a little bit hard here. Instead of drawing the $2,000 in cash out and putting it in cash envelopes, you would leave that $2,000 in your checking account, linked to your debit card, and that would be your method of payment from now on. So now then every time you went to put in gas, to buy food, miscellaneous expenses, fun, entertainment, whatever else it is, you would use that debit card to pay for the purchase. Obviously, it's really good because it'll be recorded on your bank statement, so you can update your tracking spender later in your budget really easily without having to worry about keeping receipts. With cash, it's really easy to forget to get a receipt or where you spent something, so it's a lot more keeping track of where you spent your cash. Where with the debit card, you have to keep track of the balance in the account, but you don't have to worry about receipts and things like that because it's all on the bank statement and you can just go look at it later on and identify your expenses quite easily. So both methods have pluses and minuses. With the cash envelope system, you have to continually save receipts, or if you don't have a receipt, write down where the cash was spent because there's no record of the spending otherwise. With the debit card system, you don't have to worry about writing down things because it's all recorded on your bank statement. But you do need to keep track of your money, like your total money, and how much you're spending in each category. So either way, it's a little bit of work. You just got to see which method is better for you, which one works better for you. To be completely honest with you, I use a combination of the two of them. Because I draw cash for things that I know that I'm going to spend. But then some things I'm not sure if I'm going to spend money on them. So I will keep that money in that checking account. And then if I decide to spend it throughout the month, I'll use the debit card. If not, I'll go ahead and just transfer it at the end of the month to my savings or wherever I'm going to put the money instead. Throughout well, actually not just throughout the pandemic, but also just in life in general, my husband is really bad with receipts. So I have banned him from cash. I give him very little cash because it's just always going missing. So I prefer also to have him use the debit card because when he uses the debit card, it is all recorded for me and I'm able to follow the transactions a lot easier. So you see, this is a part of the process is doing your budget, learning your partner, learning yourself, learning what works better for you and identifying where the problems are. And if you need to mix and match, do that. If it's too complicated, stick to one system. The goal is to make budgeting simple. Make it simple. Do what works for you. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing and do what works for you. So that's why I say I use a combination. It works for me. I like it. There was a time when I was only doing cash envelopes. Now I'm more doing a mix, But they're both awesome. They both work really well, and it really just comes down to your personality and the way that you'd like to do things in life and in budgeting, basically. All right, step number 5 is mindset and gratefulness. So when you're doing this budgeting journey, as I've just explained, there are things, it is work. It does take extra time and extra effort to get on top of your budget. It's not something that you can do with very, very little effort. It's just one of those things that does take effort. So it can, when you're tired, when you have a lot going on, when bills are tight and you're not making the progress that you want to make, or you think you're not, it's very, very easy to get depressed, get demotivated, and want to give up. So I find it very, very important on a weekly basis when I update my budget to write down what I'm grateful for in my budget. And it can be very, very small things. You can just say, you know what, I'm grateful that I paid all my bills this week. If you save a little bit, I'm so grateful that I got to save, $200 this week. Even sometimes when you have budget fails. This week I had to spend $200 that was not budgeted to buy my kids new school clothes, but I am grateful that I had that money in my emergency fund and I was able to pay cash for it and not use credit. Okay. It's really, really important to keep a positive mindset, to remember why you're doing this, and to focus on your goals. And by just appreciating and taking a minute once a week when you update your budget to remind yourself of what's working and what is benefiting you and helping you in your budget, can make all the world a difference. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've sat down and just looked at my budget and I don't feel like doing this. I've had such a hard week. I'm so tired. I'm just not even interested. And then I sit down and I do my budget and I get a smile on my face and I realize that, I'm so grateful that everything is getting paid, that we are saving, even if it's a little bit at a time, that progress is being made. And I actually get peace when I do my budget and I calm myself. And then I'm really grateful for that time. I'm grateful that I have to sit down once a week and do my budget because it gives me the time to clear my mind, to get away from the noise, to refocus on the numbers in the budget, to refocus on my goals, and remember why I'm doing things. And it's just a way for me to be able to take a step back, look at the overall picture, and realize that this is something that I want to do, not only for myself, but for my family's benefit. And life can get busy, things can get hectic. You're going to have ups and downs. It's not your budget's fault. Just to look at the good things and to look at sometimes they might be tiny things. It's really easy to celebrate the big wins. It's hard to celebrate the small wins. So even when you have tiny little wins, celebrate them, recognize them, and encourage yourself. And recognize the good job that you're doing. Recognize the commitment that you're putting into this budget and the focus that you're putting into it and the time and the effort. And that, that is something respectable and that is something great that you're doing. And it's something great that you're teaching your children and your partner and people that are involved in your life. It's a great example that you're setting. And ultimately, you're going to be in a better place in the future. Whether it's 1, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, every day that you budget is going to be a step closer to you being a better person financially, and setting up a better future for yourself and your family. So I would definitely encourage you guys to take that seriously, take mindset seriously in budget. If something's not working for you, change it. Don't try to force, like they say, something, a round ball in a square hole. No, sorry, square ball in a round hole, if that even works. Don't try to force things that are not going to work. And that's why I'm always telling you in any of my budgets and any of my posts, do what worked for you. If you have to mix and match things, do it. I do it every single day. That's one of the things that is my great passion that I love doing with the people that I work with, whether it's small businesses or whether it's individuals. Whoever I work with on accounting, every single one is unique. Every single person or company has a unique set of intricate, complex things that either need to be set up in a specific way or altered or mixed and matched. And to me, that is the thing that I enjoy the most. I love problem solving. I love helping people figure out how they can make something work in their life, and not based on one specific rule. budgeting is not a one size fits all thing. You can't tell me that one method can work for every single person on the planet. It can't. You have personality types, you have circumstances in life, you have pay periods, you have all these different things. It is not possible for there to be a one size fits all method. Every single person has to individually look at their budget, look at their circumstances, look at their needs and their wants, and then design a budgeting system that is going to work for them individually. And that's what I specialize in, and that's what where my passion is really helping people figure out how they can budget the best way possible for them, that's going to help them be successful in their situation. So I invite you to look at your budget and to look at yourself and to figure out how you can make your budget work for you the best. And if you need help, I am here. That is why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. I'm trying to share my knowledge and offer help to anybody who is interested in it. So please go ahead and subscribe on my Instagram or Facebook, and obviously on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe button and leave comments if you have any questions or anything, little comments even to share. I'll be more than happy to hear, and I welcome it. So I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.